The Egyptian Revolution of 1952 was also known as the 23rd of July Revolution because it began on the 23rd of July 1952 by the Free Officers Movement, a group of army officers led by Muhammad Naguib and Gamal Abdel Nasser. The revolution was initially aimed at overthrowing King Farouk. However, the movement had more political ambitions and soon moved to abolish the constitutional monarchy and aristocracy of Egypt and Sudan, establish a republic in the British occupation of the country, and secure the independence of Sudan, hitherto governed as an Anglo-Egyptian condominium. The revolutionary government adopted a staunchly nationalist, anti-imperialist agenda, which came to be expressed chiefly through Arab nationalism and international non-alignment. Non-alignment is not aligned with communist or capitalist, right? They're not aligned. They're doing their own thing. The revolution was faced with immediate threats from Western imperial powers, particularly the United Kingdom, which had occupied Egypt since 1882, and France, both of whom were wary of rising nationalist sentiment in territories under their control throughout the Arab world and Africa. The ongoing state of war with Israel also posed a serious challenge as the Free Officers increased Egypt's already strong support of the Palestinians. These two issues conflated 4 years after the revolution, when Egypt was invaded by Britain, France, and Israel in the Suez Crisis of 1956. So Israel was actually installed in 1948. So in 8 years, Britain, France, and Israel invaded Egypt in 1956. Despite enormous military losses, the war was seen as a political victory for Egypt, especially as it left the Suez Canal in uncontested Egyptian control for the first time since 1875, erasing what was seen as a mark of national humiliation. This strengthened the appeal of the revolution in other Arab and African countries. Wholesale agrarian reform, so land reform, and huge industrialization programs were initiated in the first decade and a half of the revolution, leading to an unprecedented period of infrastructure building and urbanization. By the 1960s, Arab socialism had become a dominant theme, transforming Egypt into a centrally planned economy. Official fear of a Western-sponsored counter-revolution, domestic religious extremism, potential communist infiltration, and the conflict with Israel were all cited as reasons compelling severe and long-standing restrictions on political opposition and prohibition on the multi-party system. So these are the reasons, right, that they said that they were tyrannical. They're tyrannical because the West was going to overthrow them, man, because of domestic religious extremism, potential communist infiltration, conflict with Israel. And you couldn't have any opposition when you had all these threats to the system. These restrictions on political activity would remain in place until the presidency of Anwar Sadat from 1970 onwards, during which many of the policies of the revolution were scaled back or reversed. So Anwar Sadat was a fucking counter-revolutionary. So fuck Anwar Sadat. I thought that motherfucker was a good guy for some reason. Sadat, was that... I feel like Sadat, was that the one with Jimmy Carter, where Jimmy Carter was sitting there? But Nasser, Gamal Abdel Nasser, and Muhammad Naguib, these two guys right here. Nasser's the darker skinned one. The early successes of the revolution encouraged numerous and other nationalist movements in other Arab and African countries, such as Algeria and Kenya. So Egypt was the pretty much like Tunisia was a tiny ass country. When it started their revolution, it was inspiring, but it was like, that's not going to spread everywhere. When Egypt went on their revolution in 2011, that's when it just set the entire Middle East on fire. That's like the cradle of humanity, the cradle of civilization, of even Western civilization, supposedly. I don't know if you believe that priest out of Harlem who says that Egypt wasn't a part of Africa. But regardless, they've been the Tigris and the Euphrates and, you know, the kingdoms and the Bible, and you know, there's so much shit that's come out of motherfucking Egypt. The very beginning of civilization, the first remnants of human civilization. So if the revolution was going to strike at one of the home places of, you know, humanity, one of the cradles of humanity, it seems inevitable that everybody should be getting on board with revolution. It seems like the whole world's telling us something, or perhaps the CIA is going around overthrowing tyrannical dictatorships to get their foothold in. But that's the, you know, when Egypt had their revolution, that's when it got serious. That's when shit got real. It's like, oh shit, well, Tunisia had a revolution, yeah. And then Egypt, what? Fucking Egypt with the pyramids. I mean, talk about stability. They've been around for what, 11,000 years. That's an old ass civilization. So the revolution is commemorated each year on Egypt's National Day, Revolution Day, on July 23rd. I think Sadat was the one with Jimmy Carter, and he has a picture where Israel and Palestine are friends. And that they've been talking about going back to the good old days when Jimmy Carter had Israel and Palestine issues settled. But I think, I don't know if Nasser gets assassinated or Sadat or maybe both of them. Because I feel like there's some assassinations that are going on. Tomorrow, in about an hour and 12 minutes, is the 4-year anniversary of the Egyptian Revolution. That's why January 25th, 2015 is notable, because it was the beginning of the Egyptian Revolution. The Egyptian Revolution of 2011. When I think about Egypt, really, there's not too many things that come to mind. You know, it's in the corner of Africa. It's the cradle of humanity. But besides that... it started, you know, the agricultural revolution, civilization. I don't know. I mean, it was 11,000 years ago that started in Egypt, but we've had Native Americans in, you know, in the Americas for 14,000 years. And I'm not sure when they started to do sedentary, when they started to do farming, when they had their agricultural revolution. So I bet it'd probably be comparable. I mean, the Native Americans had been trying to do civilization as long as, you know, the white people were the white Egyptians. Wait, white Western Egypt. Having an information overload. Anwar Sadat. Look at me, I am Anwar Sadat, and my name is Muhammad Anwar El Sadat. Third president of Egypt. He led Egypt in the October War of 1973 to regain Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, which Israel had occupied since the Six-Day War of 1967, making him a hero in Egypt and for a time the wider Arab world. Afterwards, he engaged in negotiations with Israel, culminating in the Egypt-Israel Peace Treaty. This won him and Israel Prime Minister Menachem Begin the Nobel Peace Prize. The reaction to the treaty, which resulted in the return of Sinai to Egypt, was generally favorable among Egyptians. It was rejected by the country's Muslim Brotherhood, leftists in particular, who felt Sadat had abandoned efforts to ensure a Palestinian state. With the exception of Sudan, the Arab world, and the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, strongly opposed Sadat's efforts to make a separate peace with Israel without prior consultations with the Arab state. His refusal to reconcile with them over the Palestinian issue resulted in Egypt being suspended from the Arab League from 1979 to 1989. The peace treaty was also one of the primary factors that led to his assassination. He was killed. He was murdered. So he died because he didn't give a shit about Palestine. So did RFK. RFK got shot by a Palestinian nationalist. It's weird how a lot of nations have had several revolutions just in this century, right? Egypt's had 2 revolutions. America has 0. In fact, they've had 0 in the 1900s too. And they've had 0 revolutions in the 1800s. So it's been about 3, separate 300-year periods. It's been 300 years, right? 200 years, 1776. Nothing in the 1800s, nothing in the 1900s, and so far nothing in the 2000s. But Egypt's had a revolution in 2011. They had a revolution in 1952, and they were the ones that had, the nomadic revolution with the agricultural revolution. So here's Nasser. I thought maybe he got shot, but I guess just Sadat is the only one that shot him. Or wait, Sadat was the only one who got shot. So Sadat takes Nasser's position over, and then kills the revolution. Then the revolution's dead, and then it becomes alive in 2011. This is tragic. So, this is what started the revolution in Tunisia, was one person dying. And this is pretty dramatic shit. This is fucking touching. She got shot up, blood everywhere. You can tell by her face, just look at her eyes. She's like, shit, I got shot. I'm gonna fucking die. I'm gonna be a fucking martyr. I'm gonna be a martyr to the revolution. How can you have all that rhetoric? All the Egyptian revolution started out with a class, authoritarian regimes, democracy, how to get democratic functions in an authoritarian regime, something like that. But that's pretty radical class. You can't take a class like that here in America, not without some fucking major pushback. No, sir. I remember taking a radical politics class at Xavier University, and the chair of the political science department was like, I don't know if we should be teaching students the truth. I'm not sure if we should be doing that. The woman is Shaiya Mal al-Sabag. Shayma al-Sabag. So Shayma al-Sabag got shot, and they're all trying to keep her alive, keep her well, give her plenty of water. They eventually rush her into... There's video. Oh, man. I mean, Tunisia just took the self-immolation of one guy. One guy burned himself. He set himself on fire. He was humiliated. No jobs. It was shitty. Conditions were shitty. He got humiliated by a female cop and said, fuck this, man. I'm going to set myself on fire. So there she is. She hasn't got shot yet, but that's, I guess that's going to be the person who's going to die right there, right? She's just standing with a sign with a bunch of a bunch of other people. You see Air France up there, right? So that's great, as long as Air France is operating and they keep on living. The corporations, I wonder when humanity eventually nukes themselves to death, if the corporations will somehow still keep on going. Corporations seem to have a greater longevity than human beings do. But corporations are people. That's what Rich said, right? They're people. And there she is, down on the ground. So we see her just kind of protesting whatever, and now we see her on the ground. We don't know why. I didn't see why it happened. Oh, there's some gunshots. So is that another person that just got shot? You have to check your stuff out, check your shit out yourself. The motherfucker shoot, and they heard that she didn't get shot with like a gun. I don't know, I heard she got shot with a spread or something, I heard that was just tear gas. They just shot a tear gas canister, and that's what eventually killed her. So Egyptian pyramids, that's what I think about when I think about Egypt, right? The pyramids, how the aliens came down and was able to get the pyramids built. Aliyah al-Mahdi, this beautiful rose of Egypt. Sharia is not a constitution. She did a political protest with Ina Shevchenko of Femen to, they go around just, being nude, just taking off their clothes, getting exposure media exposure, getting their calls out. She had got kidnapped, Aliyah Al-Mahdi, in Egypt for showing her body, which is actually crazy. I don't know why they're comparing these two. I don't know if they're the same or if this is this woman that had got shot just recently. But she was a blogger. She showed some naked pictures in Egypt, I guess, to raise her, blog hits and blog post up. And she's also a radical. She wants change. She wanted things to become better. And so that's, that's another thing I think of when I think of Egypt, is Aliyah Al-Mahdi and her naked protest. Eventually she gets out of Egypt and then has a protest. I think this is in Sweden, in front of the embassy in Sweden. And nothing was going on. I mean, it was basically a quiet-ass day. They just came out, they were naked, they took some pictures, and then they went back. But, I mean, they didn't hurt anybody. So I don't even know how that could be an issue anyways. This is a famous picture of her where she's got red shoes on and long stockings and hair. She's got the rose. She always liked wearing that rose in her hair. She's a beautiful woman. She's got a beautiful body. Ina Shevchenko was very impressed with her body. Right. And if people have a problem, that's a naked woman's body. In America, I can understand maybe in authoritarian regimes, but in America, people are going to be flipping out about. And what's great about actually, she's a beautiful woman. But what's even more important is that she used her body as a political tool, as a means for political protest. So it wasn't like she's using her body to get some sex, to land a man, to get somebody to pay for all her stuff. It's just using it for the revolution, saying that we should be free, and to protest Sharia law, which is excommunication and apostasy. You try to get out of Islam, they fucking kill you. I mean, that's apostasy. That's what's normal there. So the fact that she would, not only, I guess she's atheist, or maybe not. Maybe she's just not a fanatical Muslim. But she's sitting there protesting Sharia law, which is, comes out of Islam. So she's sort of making fun of Islam, making fun of the authoritarian regime, right? Constitution, we need freedom. We need to be free. We need to have a constitutional democracy, which is what America is. And people are like, oh, it's a republic. It's not a democracy. You dumb motherfucker. A republic is a representative democracy. Look at the fucking definition of the words. Somebody once said, well, we need to move past with, arguing about the definition of words. No, we need to understand what the fuck we're talking about. There are definitions to these words, and if we don't have the same definitions to our words, then we're not actually communicating. There's no talking. There's talking, but there's no communicating. There's no listening and understanding and gaining of, self, or gaining of any type of evolution. So the protesters shot dead in central Cairo on Saturday. Security sources said, one day before the anniversary of the popular uprising that ousted autocratic Hosni Mubarak. Now, Tunisia, it had, it had the self-immolation of that guy. And then once he had, once Tunisia erupted in revolution, then Egypt came by and made it more serious. But eventually what happens is Tunisia is going to be successful with their revolution, and Egypt is going to end in utter, complete disaster. And it's ridiculous. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. Al-Sisi, he's all sissy. All fucking General Al-Sisi's all fucking sissy. He's a little bitch-ass piece of shit. Weak motherfuckers, that's what fucking short, bald cops have to do. They've been made fun of their whole fucking life. And so they have to get the fucking power. They got to get the fucking gauntlet. And then once they get the fucking gauntlet, then they're like, hey, look at me. I'm somebody to be reckoned with. Right? Even though nature had not bestowed upon me the great gifts of manhood, now, like a bald, short man who becomes a police officer, now's his time to shine. Right? Now he's got the power. Now he can make the world a better place. Fashion the world in his image. This is going to be the same, the same woman had they're going to be reporting this. One woman got killed, so it kind of sucks. The army was pushing them back and shit. Somebody shot her, and she's dead. She's fucking dead. And it's a routine thing, right? People get out and protest. The cops come out, shoot at the protesters. Somebody dies, right? 3 people in Selma died. Who the fuck are they? We don't even talk about who they are. They stood up and marched with MLK on the bridge because LBJ didn't give a shit about integration. LBJ was like, fuck you, MLK. Right? LBJ was pretty much opposed. I watched Selma. I know all about this. This is how Selma was depicting LBJ was the bad guy. Okay? I'm just kidding. But anyways, Tahrir Square is when the shooting occurred. So that's incredible. The Socialist Popular Alliance said that popular member Sabah was killed by security forces. A witness said protesters were carrying flowers to Tahrir Square when the shooting occurred. Prime Minister Abraham Malib, he's jumped on this, saying that he's going to have an investigation to find out who killed Sabah so he can give them a Medal of Honor. He wants to give them a Purple Heart, for the murderers of these protesters because, it's the protesters' fault. That's what happened with Eric Garner. Eric Garner was sitting there, was protesting, doing his existing. He was living, right? He was walking around on the streets thinking he was allowed to live. And the cops said, no, you don't have a right to live. And then the people started protesting the cops. And then a crazy guy came out and shot 2 of the cops. And then everybody said it was the protesters that killed the cops. And then they said all is forgiven, right? Eric Garner was killed, sure, but you all killed us. Hey, let's just call this even. You killed 2 of ours. We only killed 1 of yours, so let's call this. And then everybody sat down and calmed the fuck down. Socialist Popular Alliance said on its Facebook page that party member Sabah was killed by security forces. A witness said protesters were carrying flowers to Tahrir Square when the shooting occurred. So crazy. Abdel Fattah al-Sisi praised the desire for change that had sent Egyptians into the streets 4 years ago, but said it would take patience to achieve all the revolution's goals. He did not mention the shooting. While former armor chief Sisi is taking steps to improve the all-Sissified Sisi. I'll come back to this. Egyptian Day is July 23rd. But tomorrow's Revolution Day, too. They were remembering the revolution every fucking day. Egypt's the one that had a day of rage. They got out in the streets. They protested. And they used, peaceful protest to enact their goals. You can't really do it any other way. There's no fucking other way to do it. Because if you try to be violent, you know exactly what the fuck they're going to do. And over 1,000 people were murdered. So this is the July 23rd holiday is an anniversary of the 1952 Egyptian Revolution. It's the biggest secular public holiday in Egypt. So they actually, they welcome the revolution. We have our revolution and independence war were the same war. And so we don't even talk about the idea of revolution. Why is revolution sort of, it's almost like anything done in the name of revolution is acceptable. It's a war, right? But for the Revolutionary War, it's a good thing to fight on, especially if you're successful. So EU unlikely to support ban on free unlimited Facebook, Spotify. Right. Why the fuck would they ban something like that? So let's check out Egypt's revolution. So the Egyptian revolution isn't dead because it never happened in the first place, you dirty sons of bitches. Fuck off, right? That's what Eric Trager's basically fucking saying to the Washington Post. Egypt cancels the festivities for tomorrow. So whether, al-Sisi, he came in through a coup d'etat. And it says it right there on fucking on Wikipedia, clear as day. And then Freedom Works says that, the people that measure how free countries are said that hey, they're not free. with number 1 being the highest and number 7 being the lowest. Number 1 is the highest for freedom, and number 7 is the lowest. Egypt was a 5. Well, you're about a 5. You're not doing good with your freedom and democracy. And so the Egyptian Revolution, it's the 4th anniversary of the Egyptian Revolution tomorrow, after President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi declared 1 week of national mourning following the death of King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia. They're canceling the celebrations. So, the all-sissified bitch of fucking, President Abdel Fattah fucking all-sissified bitch, that piece of shit, low-life motherfucker, is killing the fucking revolution. He's a counter-revolutionary, right? He's like the politicians in this country. They are counter-revolutionaries. They don't give a shit about revolution. They've never talked about revolution. They've only talked about more for themselves and more for their buddies. Power, pure and simple, unmitigated power. That's it. So, however, Egypt's Ministry of Interior has said the Police Day celebrations, which also falls on January 25th, have been stopped. Meanwhile, celebrations in Egyptian embassies across the globe have been canceled, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Protocols Department. During the 7 days of national mourning, Egyptian flags at government departments across the country and embassies worldwide will fly at half-mast. Egypt's presidency will, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. So basically, they're canceling the fucking revolution now. Sisi is canceling the fucking revolution, says, fuck your all's revolution. I'm sick and tired of y'all talking about freedom, democracy. It's weird. So the Egyptian Revolution was all about the overthrow of Hosni Mubarak. Mubarak was in there for 30 years. And these are military generals who are propped up with American funds. So America propped up a dictator that has been terrorizing the Egyptian people. And so the educated Egyptians who wanted the revolution to overthrow Hosni Mubarak don't like Americans. And rightfully so, because Americans have been financing a dictatorship that has been brutalizing them. It's fucked up, right? As soon as the revolution happened, they're like, oh, well, I guess we'll start paying, who's your all's guy? And the new guy eventually was, Morsi. Morsi came up. He was the first democratically elected president of Egypt's entire history. And they deposed of Morsi, just like they deposed of Aristide. People say they're for democracy and freedom, but once the people choose somebody that the international world order doesn't want, then they say, well, fuck that. No, fuck that, right? And supposedly there was protests on the streets for the Muslim Brotherhood. Morsi was the Muslim Brotherhood who came back strong with a vengeance, right? The Muslim Brotherhood and the left didn't like Sadat. They did not like the 1952 revolution, and they have a weird-ass staying power. For some reason, people are still talking about it. The Muslim Brotherhood's got a good-ass fucking name. But that's the Egyptian Revolution is also locally known as the January 25th Revolution. So they got a July 23rd Revolution and a January 25th. They got 2 days of celebration when they celebrate revolution. We don't even have one. The 4th of July, we don't even talk about revolution. It's just about loving who we are and watching some fireworks and shit, right? It's not really, hey, revolution, freedom, and, start to read the Declaration of Independence. We should read the Declaration of Independence. Why wouldn't we? On the 4th of July, that's what we're celebrating, right? We declared independence. It was actually July 2nd, but the 4th was the official ceremonies. So, where am I going with this? This is just an update on where the Egyptian Revolution is today, 4 years later. And so 4 years later, so here's what happened. And the reason why I read the 52 one first was just to compare that revolution with this one. The Egyptian Revolution of 2011, locally known as the January 25th Revolution, was a movement following a popular uprising which began on January 25th, 2011. It consisted of demonstrations, marches, plaza occupations, riots, nonviolent civil resistance, acts of civil disobedience, and strikes. Millions of protesters from a range of socioeconomic and religious backgrounds demanded the overthrow of Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak. The revolution included Islamic, liberal, anti-capitalist, nationalist, and feminist elements. Violent clashes between security forces and protesters resulted in at least 846 people killed. and over 6,000 injured. Protesters burned over 90 police stations. The protest, which took place in Cairo, Alexandria, and other cities following the Tunisian Revolution, which resulted in the overthrow of the longtime Tunisian president Zain El Abidine Ben Ali. So they kicked Ben Ali out. They kicked Mubarak out. In fact, Ukraine, the way the Ukraine revolution was going down, man, it was like fascism on fascism, just kicking the shit out of fucking cops' ass, just beating the fuck out of them. But Ukraine's sort of a compromised country now. It seems like it's stuck in between two fucking world powers, and the people are only are going to be the ones who's damaged the most, which sucks for Ukraine. And if that's, I heard that's CIA. I heard the entire Arab Spring might have been the fucking CIA. CIA goes in there, spurs discontent. People get out in the streets, and then they slip on. They get their power, their people in power. And if they can't get their people in power, like Al-Sisi. When this whole Egyptian revolution was going on, he was actually viewed as, being the military. The military is looked on as good stuff, right? The military was watching, protecting the people. The military made sure that the protesters and the police officers, everything was, try to be as calm as possible. They were very much celebrated. And then they allowed the elections to happen. And then, let's see, who's the new guy that comes up? The new guy comes up. Morsi comes up. Morsi becomes president, and so he's elected. But then the military doesn't like that, so they kick Morsi out with a coup d'état, install their own guy, have fake elections, have fake constitution, and so it's been fucking lost, right? Just like that one guy said, well, you can't say the fucking revolution won or lost because there never was a fucking revolution. Well, there was. I saw Mubarak was in a fucking jail. A couple days ago, they actually, Mubarak had got acquitted of all charges, so he didn't, nobody had charged him with anything. They dropped all charges. They let him live his life. And people was like, well, the revolution's lost now. Well, that had nothing to do with the revolution. He was kicked out of power, and the power didn't get transferred to his, son or his brother, so they kicked out the monarchy. Now there still needs to be a new face, a new figurehead, and the head of the military took over and gave these fake elections and installed himself as president. So a fucking coup d'etat. And coup d'etats has no legitimacy because who's to say, they have no legitimacy because you can use the very same tactics to overthrow them. Well, hey, how'd you become president? Well, overthrow the dictator. Well, now you're a dictator. That's true. Well, fuck you. And then you're overthrown, and now you become president, right? That's all you gotta do if you want to become president in Egypt. Just overthrow this fucking dictator. Because coup d'etats are in play. They are in play. As long as you have like some sort of fake election, like Saddam Hussein, then you're good. It's cool. So the issues that they were having were legal and political issues. It included police brutality, which is the same in America. Lots of police brutality here. Nobody gives a shit. In fact, there's some assholes that defend any brutality the police put on anyone else. There's state of emergency laws, lack of free elections, and freedom of speech and corruption. My God, there's corruption here. Lack of free elections and freedom of speech here. State emergency laws. I have not seen any martial law yet. So state of emergency laws have not been enacted, not that I've seen. Economic issues including high unemployment. Hey, there's 30% unemployment in Appalachia. Food price inflation. It does seem like they're getting more expensive, and low wages. Yep. Pretty much what? 8 of the 10 fucking issues there are the same shit in America. The protesters' primary demands were the end of the Mubarak regime and emergency law, freedom, justice, a responsive non-military government, and a voice in managing Egypt's resources. Strikes by labor unions added to the pressures on city officials. During the uprising, Cairo was described as a war zone, and the port city of Suez saw frequent violent clashes. Protesters defied a government-imposed curfew, which was unenforced by the military and the police. Egypt's Central Security Forces police loyal to Mubarak was gradually replaced by military troops. In the chaos, there was looting by gangs, which was instigated, according to opposition sources, by plainclothes police officers. In response, watch groups were organized by civilians to protect neighborhoods. International reaction was varied, in most Western nations condoning peaceful protests but concerned about the stability of Egypt and the region. The Egyptian and Tunisian revolutions have influenced demonstrations in other Arab countries, including Yemen, Bahrain, Jordan, Syria, and Libya. We didn't help the Syrian revolution. We didn't help the... Well, actually, we're in Yemen now, but I don't know. Are we against the revolution in Yemen? I mean, we're bombing Yemen... Bahrain, Jordan, Libya, right? That was the dictator. I guess we were on the right side in Libya, but Syria, we didn't help with Syria. And there are Syrians, there's people that was in favor or against it. I just think if we're going to be an empire, we should be a good-ass fucking empire. We should have gone into Syria. But if we're not going to be a fucking empire, bring our boys home, be isolationists, and work on peaceful diplomacy and trade negotiations with our, embassies instead of military dominance. We can still be the militarily dominant power in the world. We just don't have to spend money on it day-to-day basis. Right? Keep all the supplies and ammunition on in our country, not in some other people's country. So like ISIS, they could just come up out of nowhere and just rob one of these fucking U.S. arms holes, and they become fucking rich and powerful, right? They just stole American money and American guns. So why don't we have American money and American guns? Let's keep all that here in the United States. And if the United Nations votes on one country illegally invading another country, then we go in. But police in the world, we spend the money to police the world, but we actually don't do a good job at it. So why spend all that fucking money if we're not going to get anything out of it? Just a bad fucking deal all around. It makes no sense. Plus, it gets us entangled in unjust wars. People don't like it when you become an occupying power, over some bullshit. So they were successful to begin with because Mubarak dissolved his government, appointing former head of Egyptian General Intelligence Directorate Omar Suleiman vice president in an attempt to quell dissent. Mubarak asked aviation minister and former chief of Egypt's Air Force Ahmed Shafiq to form a new government. Mohammed El Baradei become a major opposition figure, with all major opposition groups supporting his role as negotiator for a transitional unity government. Yeah, El Baradei or whatever. I heard that he was being talked about becoming elected maybe. In response to mounting pressure, Mubarak announced he did not intend to seek re-election in September. On February 11, 2011, Vice President Omar Suleiman announced that Mubarak would resign as president, having turned power over the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, SCAF. SCAF took over, and SCAF is running fucking Egypt right fucking now. The military junta, headed by an effective head of state, Mohammed Hussein Tatawi, announced on February 13th that the constitution would be suspended, both houses of parliament dissolved, and the military would rule for 6 months until elections could be held. The previous cabinet, including Prime Minister Ahmed Shafiq, would serve as a caretaker government until a new one was formed. Shafiq resigned on March 3rd, a day before major protests to force him to step down were planned, and replaced by former Transport Minister Issam Sharif. On May 24, 2011, Mubarak was ordered to stand trial on charges of premeditated murder of peaceful protesters, and if convicted, could face the death penalty. On June 2nd, 2012, Mubarak was found guilty of complicity in the murder of protesters and sentenced to life imprisonment, but the sentence was overturned on appeal and a retrial ordered. A number of protesters, upset that others tried with Mubarak, including his two sons, were acquitted, took to the streets. Mubarak was eventually cleared of all charges November 29th, 2014, just 2 months ago, although Egypt's prosecutor general announced he would appeal the verdict. After the revolution against Mubarak and a period of rule by the SCAF, Supreme Council of Armed Forces, fucking SCAF, the Muslim Brotherhood took power in Egypt through a series of popular elections, with Egyptians electing Islamist Mohamed Morsi to the presidency in June 2012. However, Morsi's government encountered fierce opposition from secularists and members of the military, and mass protesters broke out against his rule in June 2013. On July 3rd, 2013, Morsi was deposed by a coup d'etat led by the Minister of Defense, General Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. El-Sisi, who's all sissy. He's a fatter motherfucker. Adel Fattah, fucking all sissy, fight bitch, fucking general, little dick, general, little El Sissy dick, little dick, little dick, all sissy, all sissified little dick, fat motherfucker, who became Egypt's de facto strongman and was eventually elected himself president in the disputed 2014 election. So that's nice, right? He was deposed by a coup d'etat, and then after they overthrew him, they was like, well, we're president now. Why? Well, we overthrew their government. We kidnapped them and we pushed them out of the building, and now this is our building. But we didn't elect you. Well, that's cool. But I mean, it's not. We didn't consent to this. You just took over. Well, I got the guns. What are you going to do about it, bitch? Fuck you. And so now, the government that they have now is just as draconian in military dictatorship like they had Mubarak. And this is all America. Who the fuck? I'm wondering throughout this whole thing, whose hands are is American tax dollars going to? Are they giving money to the Revolutionary Guard? Are they giving money to the military? Is that how the military was able to impose its will? Is this all fucking America? Did America push this shit to fucking happen? And so that's the reason why the revolution was lost, because of America's influence. Because we do pay them a substantial amount of foreign aid. That's how we get control, right? Since military occupation is presented, it's easier to get people's compliance by paying them billions of dollars. Who wants these billions of American dollars? Al-Sisi's like, me. Morsi was like, fuck you. So that happened July 3rd. July 3rd, 2013, a coalition led by the Egyptian Army Chief General Abdel Fattah el-Sisi removed the president of Egypt, Mohamed Morsi, from power and suspended the Egyptian constitution as a conscious response to Egyptian protesters who demanded the end of Morsi's administration and the initiation of earlier presidential elections. The move came after 4 days of widespread national protests against the administration and an ultimatum by the military for the government to resolve its differences with opponents within 48 hours or face the implementation of a military roadmap for reforms. The coalition declared Chief Justice of SCAF, Egypt, Adli Mansour, as the interim president of Egypt. Morsi was put under house arrest, and several Muslim Brotherhood leaders were arrested. The announcement was followed by demonstrations and clashes between supporters and opponents of the move throughout Egypt. The announcement was followed by a statement in support of the military's action by Grand Sheikh of Al-Azhar Ahmed Al-Tayeb, the Coptic Orthodox Pope Tawadros II, as well as the opposition leader Mohammed El-Baradei. So El-Baradei was in support of the fucking military. So perhaps the military is going to fucking do some more elections and it's going to be fair. There is mixed international reactions to the events. Most Arab leaders were generally supportive or neutral, with the exception of Qatar and Tunisia. Tunisia is a revolutionary fucking state. I believe in Qatar and Tunisia. So it's hard to fucking tell from the outside in, but it looks just like a coup d'etat. Other states either condemned or expressed concern over the removal of Morsi. There is also a perceived measured response from the United States due to the regulations of the African Union regarding the interruption in constitutional rule by a member state. Egypt was suspended from that union. There's also been debate in the media regarding the labeling of these events. It has been variously described by most Western nations as a coup or revolution by proponents. It's a counter-revolution, but it was revolution in the sense that the people took out the leader again, but he was the first democratically elected leader. And you can't just kick out your leader anytime there's a fucking protest. But Morsi should have done better, it seemed like, in trying to rectify the situation with his opponents. And I don't know where Morsi is at today. Says he was deposed by the Egyptian army, constitution suspended, a new one has been approved. A new presidential election was held, arrest and detainment of Muslim Brotherhood, dissolution of Shura Council, Islamist militant attacks in the Sinai Peninsula, ongoing Islamist unrest and instability, suspension of Egypt from the African Union, later undone. So lots of shit still going on. So I think I can't say Egypt was a loss, but I'm going to put it as a we'll see column, because perhaps this is another good move by the military, because it was the Muslim Brotherhood, and so they're radical Islamists, and they could have been instituting Sharia law. And instead of doing that, they're redoing what they tried to do, to begin with. So here's some excitement from the, January 25th revolution. As I'm writing, there are tens of thousands of protesters in Tahrir Square chanting against Mubarak. The demonstrators are trying to storm the parliament only to be met with tear gas and water cannons. There are dozens who are injured. Twitter and Bambuser are blocked by the government. We are proxies now to tweet. The protesters are chanting the same slogans as Tunisians. The people want to overthrow the government. Leave and let us live. The group publicly called for protests at their sites for January 25th, a national holiday, celebrating the country's widely reviled police force. So it's Police Day. Yay! Tomorrow's Police Day, or Revolution. Well, it depends on which side you're on. Which side are you on, boy? Which side are you on? Why are the police always against the revolutionaries, against the strikers, against the protesters, against the Martin Luther Kings, against the, It's almost like the police were there just to protect the rich from the rabble, from the rich, the fucking rabble, right? The fucking rioting rabble. Here's fucking out the all sissified bitch-ass fat motherfucker right here. Sissy's popularity rocketed with the overthrow. Yeah, I'm sure he did become popular after he fucking overthrew a fucking president. That's pretty bold, ballsy move. And what the fuck else are people supposed to do? He's only popular by his sycophants. Oh wow, he overthrew a fucking dude. Well, I'm on his side. Why? Because I always kiss the leaders of the country's ass. That's what I do. I'm an Uncle Tom. So his rise in popularity. Hey, he overthrew the government. Well, did he give us the choice? No. Is he going to? No. So he just took power for himself and just said, fuck yeah, that's what he did. And you support him. Well, he's got the power. I mean, what you want me to be against the people that got power? No way. I fucking kiss their ass and suck their dick. They say they're in power. I say, hey, massa, someone else gonna overthrow Al Sisi? And I'll say, hey, new massa, it doesn't matter to me. So Mohammed Morsi, who made him commander-in-chief of the armed forces, central figure of the army, back to blah, blah, blah. Al-Sisi, where's the Egyptian revolution now? We don't know. The liberal protesters been killed. So that one girl got killed. That's how, it only took one death, but there was 800 or so people that had died in the revolution. That's a lot of martyrs to the revolution. That's almost 1,000 motherfucking people in a peaceful revolution that they killed that many people. And it is time to go Egyptian. Turn on your ignition. It's time to go Egyptian. Coup d'etat, haha. Coup d'etat, haha. So I'm not sure where that post is at. But we saw it in the beginning. I already showed her. So they ran with her. They had her body. She was all stunned. Here's a picture of the Egyptian revolution when they tried to take water cannons and push people off the bridge. There's a big face off of the bridge, but eventually, the people remained resolute. And they pushed the military back. No, fuck you. I mean, are you seriously going to push against all them people and then people get trampled? And that's probably how they died, was getting trampled in stupid fucking things, I guess. What? There's a bunch of people standing on the bridge. That cannot be. That is our bridge. We must confront them and push them off of this bridge. Just let them have it for a day. They'll eventually get hungry. They got to fucking go eat, right? Let them go eat. Let them eat cake. Just a couple days ago was the French Revolution. They chopped the head off of King Louis the 16th. So long live the revolution. I hope Egypt gets out of its fucking thing. Tomorrow's Tunisian Constitution Day. So the Egyptian Revolution Day should actually be like a day of mourning because it hasn't been passed. They have not, succeeded in going in the direction that they want to go. And that's quite unfortunate. But tomorrow is more of an upbeat day with the Tunisian Constitution. So we'll see a nation that had a revolution, that succeeded in the revolution, and now has consolidated with a constitution, for everybody in the country to, to have rules for everybody to live, for everybody in the country to live by for here till eternity. And that's how you consolidate the revolution. So it kind of makes me nervous that this fucking, in Egypt, this fucking sissified, this all sissified fucking fat bitch is going to sit there and take power, institute a constitution. And so now that new constitution, there's two competing constitutions. What's going to happen? I would like to see a third or a fourth phase come out of this. I'd like to see some new people get reelected. Fuck the fucking military. When's the new fucking elections? I want to see some new elections happen in Egypt. And then perhaps we'll get past the, anti-West, pro-Muslim. I don't know. Muslim Brotherhood. I don't know why it seems like there might have been American pushback. But if perhaps the Egyptian people looked at the Muslim Brotherhood and said, no, we don't want that either, then maybe there's a secular element of Egypt that people have been ignoring. And so if the secular perspective of Egypt can stand up on its own 2 feet, then I think you'll have a successful revolution in the oldest fucking civilization, in all human history. But today's a day of mourning. Tomorrow's going to be an exciting day because the Tunisian constitution solidifies, consolidates the revolution, and so the Tunisians are going to be forever free. So for today, be sad that Egypt isn't free. But for Monday, be excited because now we got a constitution. And a constitution is like, when you rewrite the rules, people got to live by the rules. And you rewrote the rules. They got to live by, they got to be fair. You got to be fair now. You got to be, by the consent of the governed is the only way they can lead. And if we don't consent, if we don't comply, they're not our fucking leaders. The revolution's already here. I don't know how Egypt's going to stop this. They can't stop it because they have every day, right, every year since 1952. July 23rd, they've been celebrating Revolution Day, Revolution Day, Revolution Day. Well, now we got our own fucking Revolution Day. It's a new fucking world. It's a postmodern generation. And America should wake up. They should pay attention to this shit because perhaps the CIA is the one who fucking did this shit. And even if the CIA didn't do it, it was our money with foreign aid of propping up a dictatorship for 30 fucking years that brought about this this rebellion against the oppression. So we're really damned if we do, damned if we don't, right? If we caused the revolution, then we could just be doing it for our own fucking reasons, and so maybe they're figuring their own shit out. But if even if we didn't cause it, that would have been a good thing if we had caused the revolution, because we kicked out a fucking dictator. They had been, we the people, we the Egyptian people in solidarity. That did feel good. Seeing Mubarak in a fucking cage, that was amazing. This fucking dictator for 30 fucking years, and now he's in a fucking cage. But they had to arrest him. Somebody had to grab a hold of that guy. And so the specifics of the Egyptian revolution, I think we can learn from all these revolutions. The Cuban Revolution, the Mexican Revolution, the American Revolution, Haitian Revolution, French Revolution. All the revolutions we can learn. What were the good things about the revolutions? What were the bad things? What's the appeal of the revolution? It's about the people and the masses. We the people get what we want. What do we the people want? And how do we get it for the rest of our lives? Why do we keep on having it? Let's just have one revolution to end all revolutions. And then once we get it on the right track, right, then it just be sailing on into antiquity. But I fear as long as there's fascist fucking bastard rat fuckers, there's always going to be a need for revolutionaries. So mark my words. As long as there's rat, bastard, fascist, fuck, dickhole, twat heads, there'll always be a need for the revolutionary. Because I cleans my house because I loves it. Not because I hate it. Love it or leave it. Get the fuck out of here. Go do the dishes, bitch. Love it or leave it. What the fuck are you trying to tell me?